Welcome to today's video. Today I want to share with you my top items to order from AZURE Standard to build your bulk food pantry. So these are just grocery items. That's all I'm going to talk about today. I have done a top 10 video almost 2 years ago. It was summer of 2021. I did a top 10 video, but I didn't look at that video until after I already made my list for this video. It's a little bit demoralizing because the price differences are significant from then until now, but from what I found is that you are still going to get a better value and price buying in bulk than you would just buying from your grocery store, especially the quality of ingredients that you get from AZURE. And I'm not talking about brand items. Pretty much everything in today's video is the AZURE Standard or the AZURE Market brand because I'm buying those items in a very large quantity and it will last me a very long time. I've heard people say that they don't think AZURE Standard prices are that great compared to the grocery store, and it's definitely not if you're going to buy one can or one jar of things and if you're going to buy the same brands that you would get from your grocery store. There is a way to use AZURE to where you're getting the best value from them, and that's more than likely buying the AZURE Market brand, which is usually organic, definitely GMO free. From our experience, tastes really good and is of really good quality. The bottom line for us is we want to keep our money in the hands of those who share our values, and we believe that the family that owns AZURE shares many of our values, and so we'd rather give our money to them than these giant big box corporations that end up supporting social justice programs that go against our values. So that is another huge motivation for us in buying from AZURE. So let's get to the top 10 items. I will share all of the prices as they are today. Category number 1 is oils. So olive oil, and you can get a 1 gallon jug of olive oil for $56. And this price has significantly gone up since I started ordering from AZURE, but I can imagine the price of good quality organic olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil, is going to be expensive anywhere you get it these days. So I'm sure that getting it in the gallon container is still going to be the better deal than getting it into a 16 ounce or a 32 ounce bottle. And I've had people ask me before when I bought this if I noticed that the olive oil goes off. The olive oil probably definitely does degrade the longer that it's open and I'm not using it. As far as taste and smell goes, I've noticed no difference. I actually still have this much left of my bottle that I ordered last year. You can see the price on this. I wrote $44.61 from the video that I did. And I still have this left. I still use it. It smells fine, tastes fine. I love their olive oil because it's a very light, smooth olive oil. We really like the taste of it. I add it to our cooking dishes, and olive oil does have a lower smoke point than other oils. It's from 250 degrees to 350 degrees, but I still cook with it. I also use olive oil for making herbal infusions, so that's where you take different dried herbs. I've done citrus marigold from our garden, put that at the bottom of the jar once it's dried out, cover it with olive oil, and then I let it sit for 1 to 2 months, and then I use that for hair oil or for doing gua sha with a jade roller or a gua sha stone, which is good for lymphatic drainage in your face and in your body. I also have used olive oil to make a burn salve, which I'm pretty sure I've done a video on, so I will link that video below. And that's where I've infused different herbs and olive oil, and then I've used beeswax and vitamin E oil to turn that into a salve. Anytime I burn myself, I just rub that burn salve on it and it works really well. So olive oil is great for all of that herbal apothecary work as well, and you really want to make sure you're using a good quality olive oil for those things. I also love ordering avocado oil from AZURE Standard. That's also $56 a gallon, and the reason I like getting the avocado oil is because I make my own mayonnaise, and the only oil that I've found that I can use that doesn't change the taste of the mayonnaise is the avocado oil. Again, I've had no problems with buying it in the gallon and using it over a long period of time and it not going off. You just want to make sure you're storing it in a dark place where it's not getting much light, and that will preserve the oil for a longer period of time. That's on my next order, so I will be getting that in next month. And then the other oil I get from AZURE is the organic expeller pressed coconut oil. I like this because it comes in a 64-ounce glass jar, which I can always reuse. Another reason I like this is because if you need different baking recipes that require coconut oil, but you don't want it to have that coconut oil taste, this is refined coconut oil, which is good and bad. That means that there's less of the good health properties because it is refined, but you're not going to get that coconut oil taste in your baking. It depends on what you're using it for. I also buy coconut oil from Essential Organics, which I'm going to do a top haul on all the items that I get from Essential Organics. So be on the lookout for that coming up soon. What I like about theirs is it is unrefined. You have to pick and choose what you're wanting the coconut oil for. I use coconut oil for, like I said, baking. We also do oil pulling nearly every morning, which is so good for your dental health and your teeth and your gums and getting toxins out of your mouth. And if you know about the repeat carrot salad, then you can add coconut oil to that. I use the MCT coconut oil that I also get from AZURE Standard because I like that it's already liquid. Trying to melt the coconut oil is just another step in making that salad. So that's why I like the MCT oil, but you can definitely use just coconut oil for that too. For the 64-ounce glass jar, it is $13.14. Category number 2 is vinegar. I love getting my organic raw apple cider vinegar with the mother from AZURE Standard. And I've gotten them in 2 different sizes before. You can order it in the 1-gallon jug, and that is $13.92, making it 11 cents per ounce. Or you can order 12 32-ounce glass jars, and that is $45.95, making it 12 cents per ounce. So it's pretty similar in price whether you get the gallon or the 12. You're obviously getting a lot more apple cider vinegar if you order it in the glass bottles. I like ordering it in the glass bottles because then you have the glass bottles and I just end up saving them. And then I order the gallon and just refill my glass bottles. The quality of this apple cider vinegar is the best I've seen. On the bottle, it says that they do not add water to it. Other brands may dilute their apple cider vinegar with water, but our vinegar is full strength at 6.3 acidity, so you can choose to dilute it if you'd like to, which means you could actually stretch this further because it is more concentrated than most of the apple cider vinegars that you would get from the store. I use this for whenever I'm cooking with grains. I like to soak my grains overnight, so if I'm making oats or soaking rice or soaking black beans to cook, I always put a capful of apple cider vinegar in the water that I'm soaking it with, and that helps break down the phytic acid, and that helps make it easier for our stomachs to digest those grains. I also like having this on hand for dressings or for mayonnaise, or like I mentioned, the repeat raw carrot salad that consists of raw carrots, coconut oil, and apple cider vinegar. I also use apple cider vinegar as my hair conditioner. When I use normal conditioner, even if it's like the best quality brands, my hair ends up feeling so greasy, whereas the apple cider vinegar, I just keep a full jar and then a mason jar in the shower, fill up the jar, just a tiny bit, and then fill it up the rest with water, pour it all over my hair, let it sit on my hair for like 3 to 5 minutes, and then rinse it out. And that's my conditioner. And it's worked so good for me, and it is way more cost effective. It's healthy. You don't have any gunk or chemicals or toxins in it. So if you've never tried apple cider vinegar as a hair conditioner, I highly recommend it. Also, with this apple cider vinegar, we make our fire cider. Rosemary Gladstar has a recipe. There's actually thousands of recipes out there on how to make fire cider. It's basically where you're combining onions, garlic, horseradish, cayenne, any herbs, and you're stuffing it in a jar, covering it to the top with apple cider vinegar, then put a piece of parchment paper, screw your lid on it, leave it in a sunny window for at least 30 days, and you have made yourself an immune boosting vinegar, which is very powerful. Scott sometimes thinks it's too powerful. He definitely dilutes it. Oh, and then after the month or more, you can let it sit for as long as you please. You can then filter it out and then add honey to it to help it out. And you definitely do want to add honey to it. So that's great, especially for winter time, just to take it to keep your immune system boosted. So we always use AZURE's apple cider vinegar for the fire cider. Another vinegar I love to get from them is the balsamic vinegar, and I just get the basic one. We've tried the more expensive one, and we did like a taste test trial between the two, and we didn't notice the difference between the two, so we just get the basic one, which is $12.47 for the 32 fluid ounce. Again, I wrote on this bottle when I ordered it, it was $6.95, so the price has doubled. A little bit of it goes a long way. I use this for marinating meat and also for dressings. If I want to change up that repeat carrot salad and I'm kind of over the coconut oil and apple cider vinegar, I will do the raw carrots with balsamic vinegar and honey and salt and pepper, and sometimes I'll add coconut oil to that as well, and that just changes it up a little bit so that it tastes, you know, a little different from the normal thing that I'm usually eating. Next category is grains. I had a hard time picking and choosing what grains to share with you because the value that you can get for buying bags, 25-pound bag, 50-pound bags of grain from AZURE, you are going to get it for a way better price than you would buying it in smaller quantity. If you store it correctly, it will last you a really long time. I order all of my wheat berries from them, soft white, hard white, red wheat. I order millet, sorghum, rye, and then of course there's the oats, which is a great value, buckwheat, steel cut oats. I use those three to make breakfast in the morning, so we make a combination of those. Put it in water to soak with apple cider vinegar overnight, rinse it the next morning with filtered water really well, put it on the stove with some water or milk and butter, and make a delicious warming oats. And then of course there's rice, which is also a great value. But with all of these things, in order to get the best value from them, including flour, I didn't include flour because we have a grain mill and I don't buy flour anymore, but before we had the grain mill, I got all of my flour from them. In order for you to get the best price, you really do have to order your flour or your grains in 25-pound to 50-pound bags. Otherwise, the 5-pound bags are pretty expensive, so that's something to consider. Category number 4 is the different sweeteners that you can get. I get my organic cane sugar from them, and that is $29.81 for a 25-pound bag, which is a great deal and it usually lasts me a very long time. And what's great about having organic cane sugar on hand is you can then make your own brown sugar if you need it, using that and blackstrap molasses, which I also order from them. And you just take 1 cup of sugar to 1 tablespoon of molasses, mix it up really well, and you have delicious brown sugar. So you now don't need to buy brown sugar, you can just use your cane sugar and molasses. I also order sucanat from them. That is $15.73 for a 5-pound bag. This is a good alternative to brown sugar. It has a very interesting taste. It definitely does the job as far as sweetening things, especially for baking. One thing I have noticed that it doesn't break down very well. I've used this to make no-bake cookies and it didn't really break down and like melt. It kind of still stayed grainy. So if you don't like that, then sucanat might not be the best thing for you, but it is cheaper than coconut sugar, which is the next one that I want to go to. I ordered the extra fine organic coconut sugar, and that is $18.57 for a 5-pound bag. I use this for cooking and baking, making cookies, and they have really good quality coconut sugar. Another sweetener that I've ordered from them before is maple syrup, and I usually get the half-gallon glass jar, which is $42.53. And this is one of those items that is not the AZURE standard brand. It is the Maple Valley Cooperative brand, and this syrup is so delicious. It is so good. I love that it comes in a glass jar, and it will last a very long time as long as you keep it in your refrigerator after you open it. You can also get honey from AZURE. I've done this in the past, and you can get it in a 64-ounce glass jar, and it's organic. It is a good price for getting it in bulk. I still think it's best to get your honey as locally as possible and to be able to talk to the local beekeepers about their farming practices. We have bees, and I didn't realize until we got bees that pretty much everybody feeds their bees sugar. That's something to talk about with your beekeeper. Are they feeding their bees sugar? Because if they are, you are diminishing the actual quality of the honey. Whereas if you don't feed your bees sugar, you're getting the most nutrient dense, beautiful honey you could ever get. And so it's great to know who you're getting your honey from, so you can actually ask them those questions. And some beekeepers give their bees antibiotics, which then would come through in the honey that you're eating. So those are just good things to be aware of. So that's why I always lean more towards getting honey locally rather than at a large scale. But if you need an abundance of honey, AZURE definitely has a great option for buying that. Category number 5 is chocolate. So I get my cocoa powder from AZURE, and that's $21.68 for a 5-pound bag. I use this for making hot chocolate. We love hot chocolate in the winter, and I make marshmallows out of gelatin that I get from Perfect Supplements. I highly recommend it. It is delicious. It doesn't have that beefy flavor. I have my link and discount code below if you're interested in getting them. I also add the Perfect Supplements collagen powder to my hot chocolate as well. And I use the cocoa powder to make that. That's usually during the winter. Our favorite nighttime drink is hot chocolate. And then during the summer, I like making a milkshake with the cocoa powder, and that's ice, milk from our local dairy, cocoa powder, honey or maple syrup, vanilla, a little bit of salt, collagen, blend it all up, and it makes the most delicious milkshake. And we pretty much have that every night once it starts getting warm out. And then my favorite thing to get is their chocolate chips. I'm almost out of mine. It's in my cart for this next month, and that is $34.31 for a 5-pound bag, which is a very good price. The price breaks down way better than if you're just buying bags of chocolate chips from the store. I like the bittersweet chocolate chips because it's 70% cocoa, so it's a very dark chocolate. I like just snacking on them. I think they're a really good snack because the chocolate is such good quality, but of course I use it for baking and making desserts. The only negative thing is sometimes they're in stock, sometimes they're out of stock. So that's a little bit unfortunate. And the same thing is with the cocoa powder. Sometimes they run out of stock and I end up getting that from Essential Organics. They used to actually have cacao powder and they don't anymore, which is so sad. So I'll get my cacao powder from Essential Organics as well. Category number 6 is baking soda. To get a 5-pound bag of baking soda, it is $8.05, and I think this is a great deal. You can use baking soda, of course, for baking, but you can also make your own baking powder with baking soda by combining it with cream of tartar, which I also get from AZURE. I also like baking soda for cleaning, and I use it to make a fabric softener for washing my clothes. I combine Epsom salt, mix it up really well, and then every time I do a load of laundry, I just put a scoop of that in our washing machine, and that is our fabric softener. This is the best price I've seen on a good quality baking soda. Category number 7 is peanuts. This is kind of like a random one, but we love having organic peanuts on hand to make our own peanut butter. And it is nearly impossible to find organic peanuts out at a grocery store. And if you do, it's insanely expensive. So we go ahead and get the 30 pounds of the dry roasted organic peanuts for $99.57, which sounds steep, but it is such a blessing to have peanuts on hand. One, just Scott likes to snack on them, but 2, like I said, we make all of our own peanut butter with it using our VITAMIX, and that's the only ingredient. You don't need any oils, it's just peanuts blended up, and then from there you can make peanut butter cookies or other desserts that need peanut butter, and it's just so nice to have that on hand because you never know, if something comes up and you need to make peanut butter cookies, I have peanuts on hand to make peanut butter. Or if you ever happen to have the hiccups, peanut butter helps get rid of hiccups, in case you didn't know. The reason you definitely want to get organic peanuts is because one time we had a farmer tell us in South Africa that peanuts are an underground crop and they absorb everything under the ground. So when there's pesticide and any other nasty chemicals sprayed on the field, the peanuts absorb all of those things, and then you end up eating the peanuts, which has absorbed all of those pesticides. So it is so bad for you to eat conventional peanuts. You want to steer clear of them, really try to stick with organic peanut butter or organic peanuts if you're gonna have peanuts in your diet at all. Category number 8, a giant box of Portlandia ketchup. I don't have my box, I obviously got rid of it. I bought this back in the fall. It's a 2.5 gallon bag of ketchup that's put in a box. I got this because we go through ketchup so fast, and it's actually quite expensive to get good quality ketchup, and I love the Portlandia brand. I've tried making ketchup myself from our tomatoes from our garden, and it is delicious, but the amount of tomatoes that you need and the amount of time that it takes to make ketchup, I would rather use those tomatoes to make pasta sauce and just buy my ketchup. And so with this 2.5 gallons of Portlandia ketchup, I ended up water bath canning it, and now it's a shelf-stable ketchup. So all I did was sterilize my jars, put some lemon juice at the bottom. I don't know if I needed to or not. I do that when I can my homemade ketchup, so I figured just for safety precautions, it wouldn't do any harm. And then water bath can as you would. And now I have shelf-stable ketchup, which is great because I also use ketchup to make barbecue sauce. There was one night we were invited to a game night and a friend asked if we had barbecue sauce on hand, and I was like, we don't have barbecue sauce on hand, but I have everything to make it. So I just quickly whipped it up on the stove, and I think homemade barbecue sauce is way better than store-bought barbecue sauce. And then I also use the ketchup to make my sauce on this meatloaf recipe that I have. It is my go-to hosting meal, and I use the ketchup and mix it with brown sugar that I already talked about that I make with the sugar and molasses. And then instead of buying mustard anymore, I have mustard seeds, and I just grind it up with my mortar and pestle and put the ground up mustard seeds in with the ketchup and the brown sugar, and it is a delicious sauce to go on top of your meatloaf. And the final category for today is beans. So I get my black beans from AZURE Standard. I've ordered it in the 25-pound bag, and that is $41.61. Of course, I use black beans in all kinds of recipes, and I just make sure I soak, sometimes sprout my black beans before I cook them because then it's easier to digest. And then I've also ordered the small navy beans from them before, and I've ordered that in the 5-pound bag, and that is $7.18. That is it for all of my top things to get from them. I only kept it to food items. I could expand it into all different categories, but I wanted to just keep this as a pantry video and share with you what I think is the best way to spend your money if you're gonna buy anything from AZURE. If you are a new customer and you've never ordered from them before, in December, they started a new thing to where you can get 15% off of your first order if you use the code NEW15, and I would love it if you used our link to refer you to that. That would be a huge blessing for us. And like I said, if you want to see the old video I did on my top 10 items, I will link that below. I do an AZURE haul pretty much every order that I get from them. If you want to see all of those videos, I have a playlist of all of them, and I always share the prices and what I'm using, whatever I'm getting for. So I hope this video was helpful for you and really shows you that the best value you're going to get buying from them is going to be in bulk, which upfront does cost more, but in the long run, it will save you money, and it just gives you a peace of mind that you have this food on hand. I did a whole video on building your bulk food pantry, getting buckets, and I will link that below for you as well if that's something that you're interested in. So I bless you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.